Hello, and thank you for joining us for this week's edition of It's Your City. I'm your host, Cortney Bloomer. Today's show is brought to you by Paradise Salon, Spa, and Wellness, providing a full range of spa and salon services in a relaxing atmosphere right here in Carson City. Our guest today is Kathy Bartosz, Executive Director of Partnership Carson City. Welcome, Kathy.
Thank you very much, Courtney, for having me on today. I appreciate it. And I think I'm going to leave right now and go take that spa. That sounds great.
Right? It sounds fantastic.
Absolutely,
right?
It does.
So relaxing. So, Kathy, you're here today to talk to us a little bit about a couple different things. First of all, Partnership Carson City and some of the fantastic work that you guys are doing in our community. And then also, there's a really important forum coming up that we're going to get to in the second half of the show today. So tell us a little bit about Partnership Carson City, a little backstory on the organization.
I think I can do that, but that story changes day to day. I want you all to know that. Partnership Carson City isn't your typical agency. We don't see clients coming in the door. We're more of a coalition, and a community-based coalition basically does exactly that. It coalesces people, it brings them together, and in our case to focus on the safety and health of our citizens. And we do that primarily by bringing together the folks in our nonprofits that do this day in and day out. And without them in our community, you would see people lined up around our Carson City Health and Human Services building for miles, because they're able to provide services that are very grassroots, very non-threatening, very affordable, with staff that are, well, let's just say it, they're underpaid, but they love what they do. And this is why it's such a joy being able to work with all of them. So if I was to take what Partnership Carson City does and kind of lump it into three broader categories, I would say the first one is exactly that. It's creating opportunities for our nonprofits to get together and look at what some of their challenges are at any point in time, what some of their successes are, and how they can work together. What you find with nonprofits, because they're traditionally underpaid and overworked, and they're very, very dedicated, they tend to spend a lot of time in their silo, in their organization, doing the best they can to keep things going. And to their detriment, on one hand, that keeps them from being able to take advantages of the other services in the community being provided by other nonprofits. So what we decided to do at Partnership Carson City is to dedicate one morning a month, the third Friday of every month, and they come together and have breakfast. We get them talking, they share what's going on in their community, events that they have coming up, so that they are really able to see that, oh my gosh, this organization is doing a job fair, I need to get my clients over there. So we're really maximizing what they're able to do without additional funds. It's just a matter of collaborating. So that's probably the most important, or one of the more important things that we do. The other two things that we do are, as people have seen, there's a real emphasis on prescription drug abuse, the pain narcotics. It's a problem nationwide. This isn't exclusive to just Carson City. And it is a tough one. Narcotic addiction is the worst. I've talked to many physicians that have said methamphetamine is easier to kick than addiction to narcotic pain medications. So what we're trying to do is, first of all, get that message out to people, get them to talk to their doctors about, is this really necessary? Are there other alternatives that they can be considering? So that's one thing that we're doing. We're actually working with our local physicians as well. There's now a program called the Prescription Drug Monitoring Program, which is encouraging our prescribers, our dentists and our physicians, to check on a website when a patient comes in for a narcotic medication, to make sure they weren't just down the street getting a prescription from somebody else.
Right, to avoid doctor shopping, as some people call it. They go from practice to practice, and this new program will help eliminate that.
We're hoping. Right now we have a number of our physicians, most of them are signed on so they're logged in, and now it's just getting them to be very dedicated to using it. And they have, for the most part, our prescribers in Carson City are great. They really acknowledge this as a problem and are really working towards preventing an overabundance of narcotic medications out there.
Now, in addition to working with the physicians, Partnership Carson City does have a drug roundup program for people who might have these prescription drugs in their homes. Tell us about that.
That is correct. We do a prescription drug roundup twice a year, usually once in the spring and once in the fall. We just did one October 22nd. And basically that's to provide an easy drop-off place for people who have prescription medications of any kind or even outdated vitamins. We'll take everything and just to get them out of your home and bringing them to one of the drop-off locations, which are Smith's and the two Save Marts. They've been great partners with us over the years on this. And you can bring them there and we'll dispose of them for you. The DEA works with us on that. They will pick them up from us and dispose of them at an incinerator designed specifically for that purpose.
Now, you mentioned it happens twice a year. We just wrapped up a couple of weeks ago in October. How can folks find out when the next one is happening?
Actually, there's two things they can do. The first thing is they can go to our website and we will be posting it. And also we always broadcast on Carson Now and the Nevada Appeal a few weeks before the event is coming up again. In between those roundups, because I know 6 months can be a long period of time, they can also take them to the sheriff's office. He has a drop box about the size of a street mailbox. And if you take your medications, put them in plastic bags, take them out of the containers, and they can empty them into that drop box at the sheriff's office during normal business hours. So that's something they can do in between the roundups.
Anytime they can go down there to the sheriff's office. All right. So first big focus was the convening of the groups, and second, prescription drugs. What is the third thing that we want to talk about here?
The third one, and then we'll get the most important one is the fourth one, but the third one is actually we do a lot of training opportunities for people on mental health. We have the mental health first aid training, which is exceptionally good. And it's an 8-hour training, but basically people learn how to do first aid when it comes to a mental health episode with somebody, how to approach them, how to talk to them, if they appear to be considering hurting themselves or taking their life, how do you work with an individual like that, and when do you know when to bring in somebody else to help with this individual. But having increasing number of eyes and ears in the community that can help people who are suffering with the stigma of mental illness. We're trying to decrease that stigma so that people who are feeling depressed or they're feeling like they want to hurt themselves understand that this isn't unique to them, that this is more common than what people would believe, and we want them to get the help and to move past that in their life. So that's one of the trainings. We also have a myriad of trainings around substances of abuse. So heroin, marijuana, methamphetamine, you name it, we can structure a good presentation on those topics for specific audiences, whether they're adult or teens. So we encourage people to call us to access those sorts of things. We'll come to you anytime to do a training.
And you have done lots of these trainings throughout the community, like you said, with people of all ages. Let people know what the website is so that they can come visit and learn more about this and get in contact with Partnership.
Okay. It's very easy. It's www.partnershipcarsoncity.org, and it'll pop up right to the page, and there's links on there where it's youth-oriented information for parents. We try to keep the drug alerts going on there with all the categories of the various drugs of abuse, with the most current research or news coming out on a daily basis, because we want people to be able to access. That's a fast-moving field, and we need to make sure that people have accurate and up-to-date information around the website. Also, we have a community calendar on there, so as the events are coming up with most of our nonprofit community providers, they can put their events on there, so it's a one-stop shop for people who are looking for specific trainings or activities going on. Final thing on there that's probably a very good tool, it's the service directory. And because it's web-based, we can keep it updated. As phone numbers change, as programs change, we're able to keep it going. So you can click on that link as well and find most of the services that anyone would be looking for.
And that's a fantastic resource both for providers and for individuals in the community who might be in need of services.
Right, exactly.
So let's get to this event that's coming up.
Okay.
Sierra Nevada Forums has presented a number of really interesting topics here in Carson City. The upcoming forum is about volunteerism, and Partnership Carson City is involved. Tell us a little bit about the forum and what organizations are going to be there taking part.
Okay. The forum, the Sierra Nevada Forum, is going to be held on Tuesday, November 15th, Doors open at 5:30. The program begins at 6 and normally goes for about an hour and a half, depending on questions and answers. We do this at the Performance Theater with the Brewery Arts Center. It's a very comfortable theater. If you haven't been in it before, it's perfect for these kinds of events. And we're really excited about being able to highlight some of our nonprofits that are within our community. One of the things that the Partnership Carson City does, in addition to bringing these organizations together, is we identify funding for them. So 80% of the money that Partnership Carson City brings in goes to these nonprofits, which makes us pretty aware of what they're doing, how well they're doing it, and what some of their successes and challenges are. And one of those is creating a good volunteer base, and the other one is to get our community at large thinking about donating locally to these organizations. Like I said, 80% of Partnership Carson City's funding goes directly out to these organizations, but they certainly need a lot more than just what we're able to provide. Our goal is to increase Carson City's share of state and federal funding. We want that money coming in. So that's what we do. We write the grants, get that money in. We have about $1.3 million we brought in last year. And as I said, 80% goes out to the community. And 16% of that goes towards the issues we've already talked about, the prescription drugs and the trainings that we do. About 4% is admin. So we're a pretty cheap date for the community, but we really want to encourage our viewers to come to this forum and hear what these agencies do. We're having FISH, Friends in Service Helping, Ronwood Family Resource Center, the Circles program, RSVP, and I'm missing two, United Latino Community, and there's one more that I'll be thinking of here in a moment. It'll come to me at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm sure. But these organizations are really very, very dedicated, and what they do is way, way beyond the scope of what people really, I think, understand. They'll be telling you some about their clients that they serve, some of the barriers they have, and also great opportunities for volunteerism. It's not just sorting clothes at a thrift store. Domestic violence, end of domestic violence. That's the sixth one. I told you
yes,
it would come to me.
Advocates is the final one.
Yes, so there's those 6 programs. And also, when people come to the forum, I want them to think creatively about what they can do. If you're a retired accountant, a lot of people need help with their taxes that are clients of these nonprofits. Or if you have a certain landscaping technique, can you do a decorative wine barrel at the entrance? Help make these places look and feel more inviting and comfortable. Be as creative as you can in what you feel you can do if you've got some extra time on your hands. So we know that people are very busy these days, but there's plenty of opportunities once you hear about these programs for our citizens to participate in helping them be successful.
And there really is something in Carson City that meets with whatever your interest is. There's a niche for you to help an organization here in town.
Oh, there are a lot of niches. We are just a niche savvy group, I'll tell you. They welcome people who come in the door with, like I said, new ideas as well, or who are willing to do the grunt work too, that takes up staff time, but are also required just to get the day-to-day things in the life of their organization taken care of.
And we shouldn't forget it's coming to be the holiday time.
It is.
And this is a time when a lot of these organizations see an increase in the number of people they serve, and the need is there.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely there. It's a difficult time for people. It's a difficult time, especially for people who are suffering from a mental health issue, or their families are disenfranchised from one another. It's a sad time, so it's a high-risk time for people. So our nonprofits, especially the ones that I've mentioned, do see an increase in their clientele coming in who are in crisis. And they don't just deal with crises, by the way. These organizations take them when they come in the door as a crisis, they help stabilize them. They help transition them from being at a point of crisis to stability, to ultimately being capable of moving past these issues, getting things in place so they don't happen again. And then eventually the ultimate thing is to get them to want to give back in their community. And it's amazing, some of the people that come in the door that you think are just going to be such a challenge, that end up going through that continuum of care with these organizations and are now employed, going back to school, and are the ones volunteering like crazy because they understand the importance of it.
Absolutely.
Very proud of our organizations in this town.
And all of those organizations would welcome new volunteers with open arms. So tell people again, when is the forum taking place?
Tuesday, November 15th, that's coming up next week. Doors open at 5:30, 6 o'clock, the show begins, goes until about 7:38. You have plenty of time to ask questions during these forums. They're very casual. It's a very fun event, and hope that people will be there. Brewery Arts Center in the Performance Theater.
All right. Kathy, thanks so much for being here with us today and sharing with us about your organization, Partnership Carson City, and some of these other fantastic organizations that are going to be at the forum on Tuesday.
It was a pleasure being here. Thank you so much.
It was great to have you. Thanks for being here, and thanks to all of you for joining us for this week's episode of It's Your City, brought to you by Paradise Salon Spa and Wellness. I'm your host, Cortney Bloomer. We'll see you next week.